What if the whole follow your passion career advice has been leading you astray, taking you down the wrong path entirely? What if the key to a fulfilling life is not about finding your one true calling, but understanding the intersection between what you love, what you're good at, what the world needs, and what you can be paid for? I'm talking about your Ikigai. And it's about to change how you think about purpose altogether. Welcome to Huddle Psychology, where we get uncomfortably real about the stuff that is going on in your head. I'm Rahul Nair, and we are here to decode the psychology behind why we actually do the weird things we do. All right, so let's set this up properly. Our generation has been sold the idea time and again that you should follow your passion and the money will follow. But for most people, this advice has led to chronic unemployment or dissatisfaction because passion alone doesn't create sustainable, meaningful work. The Japanese concept of Ikigai offers a more nuanced framework, nuanced way of thinking about our career. It's not just about what you love, it's about the intersection of what you love, what you're good at, what the world needs, and really what you can be paid to do. All four elements are important here. All four elements matter. Finding where they overlap, intersect, is where real fulfillment actually lives. But here's the actual problem. We've been conditioned to think purpose should be rather simple and in some ways obvious to us. Find your passion as if it's hiding under the rock somewhere to be dug up or to be discovered. Real purpose, however, is far more complex, contextual, and often more ordinary than Instagram motivational quotes would like to suggest. So, here's the core and important concept that I'd like to pass on. Ikigai literally translates to reason for being in Japanese. But Western interpretations often oversimplifies it into a career framework. In Japanese culture, though, Ikigai is more about finding joy, meaning in daily life, regardless of what your career might be. It might be gardening, community work, or relationships, not necessarily anything to do with your day job. But nevertheless, the career framework version is still useful, and so let's break it down further in this episode. So, the four elements of Ikigai are these. I'd like you to imagine four overlapping circles. And we want to talk about each circle and then eventually their intersections and intersecting areas. Firstly, what you love. And this is about passion. activities that generally energize you, that you do even without external reward. This is about intrinsic motivation and genuine interest. Secondly, what you're good at. And this is more about profession, skills you've developed over time, or natural talents you possess. This is about competence and the ability to create value. Thirdly, what the world needs. And this is about mission. Here we are talking about problem statements, or problems you care about solving, or contributions that matter to others. This is about meaning and impact above and beyond yourself. And finally, the fourth element is what you can be paid for. And this is vocation. This is all about market demand for your contribution. This is about sustainability and being able to support yourself. So, these are the four elements of Ikigai: what you love, which is passion, what you're good at, which is your profession, what the world needs, all about mission, and finally, what the world is willing to pay you for, what you can be paid for, which is about vocation. Now, the intersections really matter as well. Let's go one by one. Passion plus profession is equal to work that you may love but might not find meaningful or sustainable in the end. Passion plus mission is equal to fulfilling, but you might not be good at it or be able to earn from it because the passion element and or the profession element and the vocation element is missing. Profession plus vocation is, well, financially successful but might lack meaning or joy because it lacks the what the world needs bit. And finally, mission plus vision will result in impactful and sustainable work but might not leverage all your skills or your passion because it misses out on the passion element and the profession elements. So, Ikigai exists where all four circles overlap. But here's what's crucial: this overlap is not static. It's not static. It changes as you develop more skills, as you evolve, as markets shift, as your core values evolve. Finding your Ikigai then is really an ongoing process as opposed to a one time discovery. So, the psychology behind why this framework is healthier than follow your passion is that it acknowledges that sustainable fulfillment requires multiple elements, the four elements that we just talked about. Passion alone can lead to the starving artist problem, and market demand alone can lead to, well, soulless work. The intersection is where you find work that is sustainable, meaningful, engaging, and impactful all at once. So, how do you actually find your Ikigai? Well, allow me to offer you three practical approaches, three ways to actually go about finding your Ikigai. The first is, of course, the four circle assessment. Honestly evaluate each element. What activities genuinely energize you? Not what you think should excite you. What activities do you get genuinely excited by? So that's your first circle. Second circle, draw it up and ask yourself, what are you actually good at? Not what you wish you were good at, but what you're actually good at right now. Thirdly, in the third circle, ask yourself, what problems or needs do you genuinely care about? Not what seems impressive to others, but what do you actually care about? What problems do you genuinely want to solve? And finally, in the fourth circle, ask yourself, what skills or services do people actually pay for? Not what you hope they might pay for, but things that are being paid for right now. So, look, once you've drawn up these circles, look for where they overlap or even partially overlap. Your Ikigai might not be in the perfect center yet, but you can see which direction to move in. So that's the first approach, the four circles approach. The second approach is the experimentation method. You can't think your way to Ikigai. You have to try things. Test different combinations of your skills, interests in real world contexts. Volunteer, freelance, take side gigs, and pay attention to what really gets you going, gets you flowing, gets you energized versus what seems to be draining you, what you're naturally good at versus what requires constant effort from your side, and what feels meaningful to you versus what feels rather empty to you. And finally, the third approach is the evolution mindset. Stop thinking of Ikigai as a destination that you need to reach, something to check off and maintain forever. Don't think about it from that point of view. It's more like a moving target. You're constantly adjusting toward as you grow, as you evolve, depending on the circumstances in which you find yourself in. Your Ikigai at 25, for example, will probably be different from your Ikigai when you are 45, and that's perfectly normal and healthy. So here's the important thing though. Ikigai doesn't have to be anything to do with your career either. In fact, in traditional Japanese culture, it often isn't. Your job might be in the profession plus vocation zone. So, good at, get paid for it. So, maybe you're a really good accountant, you get paid for it. Maybe you're a really good lawyer and you get paid for it. And that's okay. While your Ikigai comes from, say, for example, volunteer work or hobbies or relationships, that's completely okay and valid. The Western obsession of monetizing every passion and finding career fulfillment is actually a cultural outlier. It's okay to have a job that pays your bills on the one hand while finding meaning and purpose elsewhere. And that's fine to keep them in two different buckets. Also, it's important to be suspicious of anyone who claims to have found their perfect ikigai with all elements in absolute alignment and sync. That's either rare luck, selective storytelling, or lack of self awareness. Most people are navigating the trade offs between these elements throughout their lives. So it's important to keep that in mind. So, having said that and discussed some of the ways to find your ikigai, let's come to this week's homework. Draw four overlapping circles and honestly fill them up based on your current reality, not your aspirations, based on your current reality. Where do they overlap? Where are the biggest gaps? Don't judge your answers, just notice them. Then ask yourself, am I trying to force passion into my career when maybe my ikigai exists elsewhere? Am I ignoring what I'm actually good at because it doesn't seem exciting enough? Am I pursuing market demand while ignoring what I actually care about? Also, it's worth asking yourself, what is it that comes natural to you, easily to you? What can you do effortlessly in, say, 10 minutes, but takes another person 5 hours? Now, it is important to ask this question because that might be your superpower. Something that you can do in 5 or 10 minutes that the other person takes 5 or 10 hours. That is your superpower. And it's worthwhile reflecting on what that superpower is and then capitalizing on it. It's easy for us to underestimate our superpower because we own it and because it's so natural to us that we take it for granted. Yeah, I can talk, it's easy, no big deal. But maybe for another person, talking might be a very difficult thing, might cause anxiety and panic attacks. For one person, standing in front of an audience and speaking publicly might come natural, doesn't take much preparation apart from perhaps getting a speech ready. But for another person, public speaking can be very, very scary. So for one person, it takes 1 hour preparation, whereas for another person, it may take a couple of days or perhaps even more. So figure out what is it that you can do effortlessly, and that may be your superpower, and that can also help your ikigai. And figuring out that is important because we often underestimate our superpower because it is so natural to us and so normal to us that we just take it for granted. All right. So, having said all that, next week we are going to be talking about the psychology of comparison in the age of social media. Why our brain literally cannot handle seeing everyone's highlight reels, and what to do about the chronic inadequacy that comes from constantly measuring ourselves against curated perfection that we see on social media. But that's next week. Coming back to the topic of Ikigai this week, drop a comment. Have you found elements of your Ikigai, or are you still searching? What's your biggest challenge in balancing these four elements? Let's figure this out together. And as always, do visit our blog huddlepsychology.substack.com for more interesting ideas about psychology and topics in psychology. And if you have anything, if you want to talk about anything on a one to one basis, hit me up at rahul@huddlepsychology.com. Before I leave you, I want to let you know that my first book is available within Kindle marketplaces, Amazon marketplaces across the world. The book's title is Already Home, Advaita Vedanta for Everyday Living. It is available as a Kindle version across all marketplaces and available as paperback in the UK and the US. As the name suggests, the book is about Advaita Vedanta, and I've written it in such a way as to make the Vedanta as accessible to as many people as possible. So I'd be grateful for your support and patronage. All right. So that's it for this week. Until next week, keep huddling and keep growing. Ciao for now.